Your defensive revolver becomes an expensive hammer the moment a bent moon clip binds the cylinder solid. This is the catastrophic failure born from an ego-driven mistake. Choosing a caliber based on ballistic gel tests while completely ignoring the mechanical interface of the firearm itself. This analysis strips that ego away to focus on the raw engineering consequences of your choice, because a dead gun is the ultimate prize for buying on hype. The debate isn't about two bullets. It's about two fundamentally different engines. The .357 Magnum is a high-pressure racehorse, a thoroughbred engineered for pure velocity that demands a long track to run and a firm hand to control. In contrast, the .45 ACP is a low-pressure bulldozer built to move heavy mass with relentless torque, but requires fragile, specialized hardware, the moon clip, to even function in a revolver. Selecting the wrong system for your use case doesn't just mean suboptimal performance. It risks a non-functional tool when everything is on the line. This isn't about which caliber is better, but which mechanical reality prevents a catastrophic failure under pressure. Look at the architecture of the brass itself. The .357 Magnum was engineered specifically for a cylinder. It features a pronounced, thick rim at the base. That rim allows the cartridge to headspace flawlessly against the rear of the cylinder. When you strike the ejector rod under stress, the extractor star catches that solid rim and kicks the empty brass out with absolute mechanical certainty. It is a completely standalone unit. You can load it with loose round from a box, a dump pouch, or a traditional speed loader without ever needing secondary hardware. The .45 ACP requires a completely different mechanical interface. Because it is a rimless case born for a semi-automatic pistol, running it in a revolver mandates the use of moon clips. These are stamped pieces of spring steel that snap into the extractor groove of the casing. This creates a high-speed, high-risk dependency. On one hand, moon clips provide the absolute fastest reload mathematically possible with a wheel gun. You're dropping all 6 rounds into the chambers as a single unified block and punching out the empties the exact same way. There is zero fumbling with loose cartridges or aligning speed loader pins when your adrenaline is spiking. For a pure combat reload, the moon clip remains the gold standard for keeping a revolver shooter in the fight. But that speed introduces a massive tactical vulnerability. If that thin piece of sheet metal gets slightly tweaked or bent while sitting in your pocket, bouncing around a range bag, or during a fumbled reload, your cylinder is going to bind up tight against the frame. Your primary defensive tool just became an expensive hammer. The fatal mistake is assuming a .45 ACP wheel gun is a low-maintenance, grab-and-go system. It is actually a highly dependent platform. If you lose or damage those clips, you are reduced to picking spent casings out of the chambers with a fingernail or a pocket knife. The choice here is a direct trade-off between the standalone, rugged independence of the rimmed Magnum and the high-performance, fragile speed of the clipped .45. Beyond the loading mechanism, the core operational difference lies in the engine room, where chamber pressure dictates the firearm's long-term health. The .357 Magnum is a pressure cooker operating at a violent 35,000 pounds per square inch. Every time the hammer falls, that pressure creates a brutal shockwave that slams into the revolver's frame. This force is not free. It directly attacks the most critical lockup points of the gun, eroding the forcing cone where the barrel meets the cylinder and placing immense stress on the crane that holds the cylinder in alignment. A steady diet of full-power Magnum loads accelerates mechanical fatigue, inevitably leading to timing issues and a looser lockup over the gun service life. This is the hidden cost of the Magnum's high-velocity performance. The engine is constantly running at its red line, trading longevity for raw power. In stark contrast, the .45 ACP is a low-revving engine, chugging along at a relaxed 21,000 psi. This is nearly 40% less pressure than the Magnum. Because the .45 achieves its terminal effect through heavy mass rather than extreme velocity, it is incredibly forgiving on the firearm's metallurgy. The recoil impulse is a slow, heavy push, not a sharp, destructive crack. This brings us to the heirloom factor. A modern, robust revolver chambered in 45 ACP is essentially a multi-generational firearm. You can run tens of thousands of standard pressure rounds through a heavy end frame, and the lockup will often remain as tight as the day it left the factory. This lower operating pressure drastically reduces the structural fatigue on the steel itself. The choice is therefore not just about the bullet, but about the system's endurance. You are choosing between a high-strung platform that demands maintenance and a durable workhorse engineered for a lifetime of service, which has profound implications for both the weapon and the shooter. This brings us to the tactical trap so many concealed carriers fall into, the snub-nose paradox. The .357 Magnum built its reputation in an era of 4- and 6-inch service revolvers. Dropping that cartridge into a modern 2-inch carry gun means you're throwing its single greatest advantage, velocity, out the window. This is a direct consequence of powder burn rates. The Magnum is a notorious powder glutton, loaded with slow-burning propellants that require a long barrel to achieve full, efficient combustion. When you touch off a full-power Magnum load in a short barrel, a massive volume of that powder fails to burn inside the case. Instead, it detonates outside the muzzle, creating the signature concussive blast and blinding fireball that obliterates your night vision. You are effectively flash-banging yourself in a low-light encounter, suffering all the penalties of Magnum recoil and report with very little of the ballistic payoff. Chronograph data from 2026 confirms this inefficiency. Out of a 2-inch barrel, a 125-grain .357 Magnum load often struggles to break 100 feet per second, dropping its performance squarely into the territory of a premium 38 Special Plus P round. You have accepted Magnum-level punishment for 38 level results. The 45 ACP, however, is a vastly more efficient engine and a compact platform. It was designed with fast-burning powders that do their work quickly, propelled by the large case volume and wide bore. The expanding gases achieve optimal pressure before the bullet has traveled very far down the barrel. As a result, a 45 ACP revolver with a 2-inch barrel retains roughly 95% of the energy and velocity it would have from a 5-inch barrel. It simply does not bleed off momentum in a short barrel format. If your mission dictates a compact, deep concealment revolver, the physics are undeniable. The 45 ACP delivers its advertised heavy-hitting performance without the crippling blast and wasted energy of its high-pressure counterpart, making it the superior ballistic choice for the snub-nose use case. Beyond the firearms mechanics, we must analyze the physical toll on the shooter, where recoil management often becomes the deciding factor. The myth that a defensive handgun must hurt to be effective is a dangerous one. The .357 Magnum's high pressure translates into a sharp, high-frequency recoil impulse. It snaps the wrists violently, driving a stinging shockwave directly into the web of the hand. For anyone with compromised grip strength, arthritis, or carpal tunnel, a cylinder of full-power Magnums is physically punishing. This experience hardwires a severe anticipation flinch, destroying accuracy and making rapid, controlled follow-up shots nearly impossible. It demands a powerful crush grip just to keep the gun from bucking uncontrollably. The 45 ACP provides the polar opposite experience. Its low operating pressure generates a heavy, rolling push rather than a violent crack. The recoil impulse doesn't bite. It smoothly lifts the forearms in a predictable arc, allowing the shooter to track the front sight through the entire firing cycle. This brings us to the ultimate cheat code for shooters who need fight-stopping power but can no longer tolerate Magnum-level abuse. Transitioning to a 45 ACP revolver allows you to deploy a major caliber projectile with a recoil profile closer to a casual plinking gun, preserving your joints without sacrificing performance. However, this is where the .357 Magnum platform reveals its own strategic advantage: logistical flexibility. Every .357 Magnum revolver is effectively two guns in one. It can fire full-power Magnum loads for backcountry defense, but also chamber the ubiquitous 38 Special. This dual-caliber capability is a massive tactical asset. The soft recoiling, affordable 38 Special is the ultimate training tool, allowing for high-volume practice to master the double-action trigger without developing a flinch. During unpredictable ammo markets, the sheer availability of 38 Special provides a critical supply chain buffer. A 45 ACP Revolver, by contrast, is a dedicated, single-purpose tool. If you can't find 45 ACP, the gun goes silent, offering no softer shooting alternative. The Magnum allows you to scale your power level to your physical condition, while the 45 commits you to its heavy push every time. The strategic verdict is clear. For a dedicated compact carry mission, the 45 ACP is the superior engine, delivering its power efficiently without the Magnum's crippling blast. For the versatile, do-it-all one-gun solution, the 357 Magnum's logistical flexibility is unmatched. Stop chasing ballistic fairy tales. Modern ammunition makes both calibers decisive fight stoppers. The ultimate priority is shot placement, born from trigger control with a firearm you can physically manage. This choice is about brutal honesty with your capabilities. Buy the caliber that fits your body, not your ego, because in a fight for your life, accurate hits are the only judge that matters.